China refines Russian oil and sells to global market. Europe can do more on sanctions, says US Secretary of State Marco Rubio. No voting machines, no mail-in ballots. Donald Trump plans US election revamp. And now let's talk about Mumbai. Relentless rains continued to batter Mumbai, India's financial capital, for the third successive day. It brought Mumbai to a grinding halt as many parts of the city dealt with severe waterlogging and crumbling infrastructure. Rescuers helped school children out of a bus which got stranded amid the flood-like situation near Gandhi Market. Policemen navigated through knee-deep water while carrying the kids to safety. Local trains also could not run on time. Entire train service in Mumbai was disrupted on the Harbour line due to heavy rainfall in many parts of the city. Waterlogging and submerged tracks in areas like Makhurd, Govandi, Kurla and Tilaknagar delayed train services on Harbour. Low-lying areas like Andheri subway and Lokhandwala complex witnessed water accumulation, bringing traffic to a crawl. The BMC appealed to residents to stay inside and only step out only if necessary. Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis chaired a high-level meeting to assess the ongoing weather situation and prepare a response. Fadnavis said that by August 21st, orange and red alerts may be sounded in several other Maharashtra districts. Districts near Mumbai, such as Thane, Palghar and Raigad, are also expected to witness similar weather conditions. The IMD warned that heavy rainfall will continue to lash western states, including parts of Goa, Konkan, central Maharashtra and Gujarat for next 7 days. No relief is expected anytime soon, as Met Office has issued a red alert for the city till Tuesday, anticipating heavy to extremely heavy rainfall. Let me play out a ground report from our correspondent first.
बीती रात से ही मुंबई हो, पालघर हो, थाने, रायगढ़, ये तमाम ऐसे जो जिले हैं वहां पर मूसलाधार बरसात हो रही है और मुंबई में चंद घंटों की बरसात और आपको भी पता है कि सड़कों पर पानी पानी हो जाते हैं। तमाम दावे जो बीएमसी हर साल पहले बरसात से पहले कहते हैं कि इस साल मुंबई के सड़कों पर पानी नहीं लगेगा और जब कुछ घंटों की बरसात होती है तो गटर पूरी तरीके से जब पैक हो जाता है तो पानी जो है सड़कों पर आ जाता है। और ये देखिए तस्वीरें मुंबई के चेंबूर इलाके की। आज आपको मुंबई के हर कोने में, हर निचले इलाके में आज आपको इसी तरह की तस्वीर मिलेगी, क्योंकि इंद्र देवता बीती रात से ही मुंबई में गरज रहे हैं और बरस रहे हैं और जैसे ही जब बरसात शुरू हो जाती है तो वाटर लॉगिंग की समस्या शुरू हो जाती है। और आज देखिए बीएमसी ने जब देखा कि ज़्यादा बरसात हो रही है तो एहतियातन के तौर पर स्कूलों में छुट्टी कर दी गई, लेकिन मुंबई के कई ऐसे इलाके हैं जहां पर अब पूरी तरीके से डाइवर्ट कर दिए। ट्रैफिक की समस्या जो है वो भी उत्पन्न होनी शुरू हो चुकी है। लोगों से अपील की है कि घरों से बाहर ना निकले और ज़रूरत ना हो तो कामकाज पर भी ना आए। हालांकि मुंबई की लाइफलाइन कही जाती है, मुंबई की धड़कन जो कही जाती है, उसके हार्बर लाइन पर भी थोड़ी सी रेलवे ट्रैक पर पानी भरी है तो वहाँ पर भी दिक्कत है। अगर आप मुंबई से नवी मुंबई जाना चाहते हैं तो आपको इसी दिक्कतों का सामना करना पड़ेगा, क्योंकि ये जो इस वक्त हम जहाँ पर मौजूद है मुंबई का चेंबूर इलाका और यहाँ से मुंबई से थाने, वाशी, नवी मुंबई, यहाँ से तमाम जो गाड़ियाँ जाती हैं वो इन्हीं दिक्कतों का सामना करके आ जाना पड़ रहा है। इसके अलावा देखिए मुंबई के परेल हो, हिंद माता हो, वर्ली हो, सायन हो, अंधेरी सबवे हो, मलाड हो, लालबाग इलाका हो, ऐसे तमाम ऐसे निचले इलाके हैं जहां पर इसी तरीके की तस्वीर, इसी तरीके का जो जलभराव है वो आज देखने को मिल रहा है। और एक बार फिर से करोड़ रुपए का जो बजट बीएमसी निकालती है मुंबई की सड़कों पर, वो पूरी तरीके से स्वाहा होते हुए इसी तरीके से आपको दिखाई देगा।
So this is our correspondent Shubham. The heavy rainfall is being caused due to a low pressure system that has developed over the Bay of Bengal. Despite its standing as India's commercial capital, Mumbai continues to falter each monsoon. On this issue, I am joined by Vimlendu Jha, environmentalist, Dr. P.S. Rana, former CMD Hudco, Sudhir Krishna, former Secretary Urban Development, Government of India. Vimlendu, my first question to you is, why does Mumbai struggle with flooding every year?
I think we haven't learnt our lesson. It's, imagine the infamous floods of Mumbai of 2005, when more than 1,000 people died. And we actually looked at, fixing the drainage system. And imagine that project that was unveiled immediately after that big disaster, the project is still underway and the drainage system is still dilapidated. Indeed, one thing that we need to understand that there are extreme weather events, but now to just blame it on extreme weather events or an extreme flood or extreme rainfall cannot be an excuse in 2025. Perhaps for last 5 years, we've seen a pattern of extreme rainfall and therefore flooding. So when we actually are aware of these climate events and the recurring, both in terms of intensity and frequency of these rains, then we have to really look at a governance system to manage the water. Mumbai, everyone knows it has a very, very unique, topography in that sense. That it's linked seven islands, and therefore there are low-lying areas. Also, tides play a very, very important role. And therefore, when it actually rains and the tides happen at the same time, it's very, very difficult to really water to drain off. And that's the reason why most of the natural drains that existed, as in, a couple of years ago, I actually did a walk around Meethi River in Mumbai, and the entire river, which people don't even know that there's a river that exists in Mumbai, is completely clogged because infrastructure has taken precedence. And infrastructure does not mean national infrastructure or common infrastructure or citywide infrastructure. In terms of builder mafia has taken over the entire Mumbai, and therefore through and through, year after year, we actually see the entire Mumbai flooding. We've seen, of course, the wetlands being devastated. We've seen mangroves being cut and curtailed. We've seen lakes being compromised. So on every front, if you actually choke the natural, drainage capacity of a city, then what do you expect? And then you only have a financial capital which comes to a standstill when it actually rains. And when it rains heavy, of course, it will actually create a havoc.
Okay. Mr. Krishna, Mumbai contributes 6% of India's GDP, 40% of direct taxes. It's an urban city. Everyone knows the problem. And I'm not even talking about how climate change is going to have a devastating effect on Mumbai when the sea will surge and the coastline will become even more vulnerable. And Mumbai can't take 48 hours of rainfall. I mean to say, don't we learn anything, or does corruption get best of everyone?
Well, I'm not sure about the corruption part, but I think it is lack of vision and, putting the act together. Now, technology is available to understand, make a new rainfall mapping, The rainfall pattern has changed, no doubt, but it has to be mapped. And we have to gear up, For example, the drainage system, which is more than 100-year-old, was designed to accept certain level of water flow. Now, as things are, the rainfall has increased. That is one. And secondly, the maintenance is also a challenge. So they had taken up a project called Brimstone Watt, and that was taken up, I think, about 20 years ago. And still it is not complete, and it is time to revive that project, to give a push and, take a fresh look. That is one thing. The drainage system has to be focused on carefully. And number two, the open drain, that is all one project, but open drain system is a story of every city in the country. Mumbai suffers more because it is a low-lying city, close to the coast, and therefore it suffers most because of tidal ingress also. So that is one thing. Otherwise, the open drain system is clogged with solid waste, plastic waste and all kinds of city waste. Construction, hutments come up, housing comes up, unauthorized housing has come up along the creeks and open drains. So the drainage system also gets clogged. How are we going to continue? I'm not sure whether the builder lobby has to be blamed. It is nothing to do with that. Drainage system has to be maintained by the MMRDA and the Brihan Mumbai Municipal Corporation. They have to maintain the drainage system. And the developer lobby cannot do much about it except for paying taxes and development charges. So that's the second thing. And thirdly, mangrove, which was mentioned by Mr. Vimlendu very correctly. You see, in East Europe, Southeast Asian countries like Vietnam or Malaysia and even China also, mangrove plantation is being taken up. They are planting mangrove along the coastline to prevent flooding and to nurture the, pisciculture, ocean based. But here we are removing the mangrove. That is another situation. So I think it is high time that we give attention to the natural defense against, tidal ingress by nurturing the mangroves. And last, I would say that the water harvesting structures, the lakes and subsoil water where it has to go inside the soil, all the systems have to be nurtured. All in all, a drainage plan has to be prepared on a regional basis, watershed basis. It is not difficult at all now with the satellite imagery on one hand and artificial intelligence based programming on the other hand. It is not difficult at all, not highly cost effective. Somebody has to develop the vision and the drive to prepare the plan and of course implement it on ground. I think funds are also available. I am sure there is no shortage of funds. What is required is the determination and leadership. I am sure it is possible, and I hope the MMRDA and other authorities who are there.
No, but it's so tragic. It's so tragic. It's so tragic that water is so essential for life. That's what our astrophysicists, astronomers continue to look for in the universe. Water, signature. And we can't handle water in two biggest cities like Delhi and Mumbai. Mr. Rana, is it because of unplanned, haphazard urban growth?
As Sudhirji said, that naturally our drainage system has been damaged or not kept up to the mark. But in addition, I would point out a few things. If there are combination of three factors, when high tide and heavy rain comes together, that is one point where the discharge into the sea gets blocked. And third, we have another notice in the last floods that toward the end of the monsoon, when the reservoirs on the dams are also full and heavy rain comes, then we sometimes even they open the gates. So that even add to it. So these are the sometimes man-made things also which create problem. So there were some suggestions also to create reservoirs near the coast so that during the high tide they can be cut off from the sea. Even Thane Creek was to be developed as a big reservoir and having the cut off from the seaside, so that during the high tide, if there is a heavy rain, that can be act as a sort of a temporary reservoir, holding pond type. So we have to create such things. We can't depend all the storage on the hills and the dams on the hills, but the storage near the coast is also very important to meet such emergencies. And rightly, I can reiterate that the natural drainage which has been destroyed cannot be ignored at all, and that has to be restored and up to. And when more cities growing, more paved areas, so even the percolation areas have reduced considerably. Wetlands have.
I think this is essential. There is something wrong. BMC, the richest corporation, has a budget more than 50,000 crore. Maharashtra, a rich state, so much of contribution to the Indian GDP, but it can't take care of its maximum city. My question is, everyone knows that the drain is an issue. Everyone knows that the urban structure is an issue. Everyone knows that the mangrove is an issue. But I think people are unwilling to call up this builder mafia nexus. It's profitable.
Absolutely, and therefore that's the reason why I don't agree to what the former development secretary just said, that builders are not to be blamed. Indeed, if you look at the urbanization of a city, sir, we know that there is a nexus that exists between the builder mafia, and it is not about transactional corruption, it's collusional corruption where land laws or land use laws are actually changed in certain parts. I think that's the reason why you've seen many of the areas around waterways, around lakes, and this is not just about Mumbai, in many places where the forests have been cleared. What actually today we are actually talking about flooded Mumbai, as in a couple of years ago we were actually talking about thousands of trees that were actually chopped primarily, and then thousands of trees that's actually been chopped for the coastal road project. This is about misplaced priority without even understanding that the nature has its own way. We try to be mightier than the nature without even realizing that those buffer that nature had actually created, be it in the form of the wetlands that we're talking about, or the lakes, or the natural, We call them drains, but they were actually rain-fed rivers. And like how
Do you think that
we don't
Mumbai
really
is
know
prepared for
if
climate
there's some-
change? Do you think that Mumbai is prepared for climate change?
It is not, as in it is not even right now. We haven't even seen the extreme climate event, as in these are signs and symbols of weather events. The kind of rainfall that we're seeing, as I earlier said, intensity and frequency
Dharali,
of it is increasing.
Kishtwar, Kathua. I mean, to say number of cloudbursts that have happened in the northern part of
absolutely.
India in last
We
1
are
month.
getting India is getting a weather event, an extreme climate event every next day. But do we actually hear anything from the Ministry of Environment and Forest and Climate Change? Have we actually made a climate event mitigation plan? We have something called NDMA that wears fancy jumpsuits and comes, but that is post-disaster. We need to really, as a nation, we have to do something pre-disaster rather than put everything post-disaster. Look at these scenes that you're actually showing, almost 4 feet. As in, it's a shame that we are talking about certain trillion economy and 2 days of 48 hours of rainfall and the maximum city becomes a sunk city.
Absolutely, I completely agree with you, Mr. Krishna. We have been talking about smart cities, intelligent way of, creating, urban spaces. But the fact of the matter is that the climate change is here. It's not coming; it's here with us, and it looks like our cities are not prepared at all.
Well, I don't know. I'm not able to appreciate why there is apathy towards planning. When any event occurs, like any mishap happens due to cloudburst or what we see in Himalayas and elsewhere, what we hear that NDRF, SDRF has swung into action and relief measures are being taken. I mean, that's all necessary, no doubt. But do we ever hear that retrospective or reflection is being made? Somebody is pondering over as to why it is happening. It's a very amazing thing because there is a national mission on sustaining the Himalayan ecosystems, and that mission is not being talked about. It was launched with much fanfare. Like that, every city has to prepare on a regional basis. I said earlier, a plan has to be prepared, the green plan, the blue plan, the lakes have to be restored. What is wrong in there? I mean, what is the problem? It's difficult to appreciate. If they don't, those who have the authority, if they don't assert, then definitely people are there to demand for development of the area for construction activity. The demand is there. Doesn't mean that you should yield to it. Always create a blue, and surrounding the blue you create the construction spaces. But over the blue space, it's not good. So I think it is high time that a national awareness is created about the green and blue planning for every city. It has to be taken up a war footing. Otherwise, every time we'll be talking about the deluge and the damages. I mean, it's high time. It's high time, and it is very much and actually the blue and green enhance the land values. The property values improve substantially. The quality of lives improves substantially. It is social equity improves. Everything is in favor of doing it. But except that, vision and drive is required.
Okay, Mr. Rana, very quickly, we have the capacity to build the best of buildings. Gurgaon, the tallest of towers, the most most modern of the facilities, but we don't create a sort of a drainage system. This really baffles me. The best buildings are in Gurgaon, but there is no drainage. The best structures are there in Mumbai, but there is still no drainage here.
The natural drainage had the natural phenomena that the lowest area in a localized would be a wetland or a pond. Because so that the natural flow goes there, and the normal calculations shows that even in a city, 5 to 6% areas are under perpetual water bodies of the lowest area of the city in a localized. So, and they take the flood, and the local, as we call it, micro water equilibrium. If we contain it locally rather than everything going to the river or going to the sea, naturally the paved areas in the city do not absorb. So we have to have the wetland area, or then and naturally that should be the lowest point of the particular area. So that sort of a watershed areas have to be identified.
But what do they, then how does it function in society, sir? Why is Gurgaon getting flooded all the time?
Because, we have blocked all the wetlands. We have built up them.
So absolutely, that's the point Bimlendu was saying, that the buildings have taken place, they have been built on wetlands, which is collusion in a way.
Even in Bombay, there was a proposal that CRZ and salt pan lands should be planned in a way that they can be used for such activities. You know,
But
but a lot of development is going on even on salt pen
I think, that's the wrong word. I feel that, we should stop using the word development. We should say that destruction of environment is taking place. When we say unorganized development, we somehow tends to mainstream them and say it's okay. I think it's time to say, thank you, sir, all of you for, joining me on this conversation, but I've really run short of time. But what is happening in Mumbai is actually shameful. This shouldn't have happened, despite the fact that there were clear warnings, despite the fact that the Mumbai got flooded, and so many years have passed and we have not been able to do one thing, which is to create a proper drainage system for the city. So this was on point one. In the second on point, we'll discuss the Chinese Foreign Minister's crucial visit to India after a short break.
What are you watching, Dad?
Don't you often say, think before investing in the stock market? So I'm trying to gain some knowledge.
From whom?
That's this stocks expert. Makes great educational videos. Gives good investment tips too.
Dad, don't rely on such videos. Do your own research.